This video is how to construct a unit plan. Some of this information seems pretty elementary. For example, be sure to put your name as the teacher. Also put in your time frame. Time frame can be anywhere from weeks to days to period. Put in a unit title that describes what you're going to be teaching. Also, what subject area. Make it meaningful and relevant. Be sure to put the grade level depending on the subject you're teaching. The topics such as mathematics is usually 9 through 12. In this next area, you're going to be wanting to talk about your subject. For example, in your subject area, it could be mathematics. Your main topic could be constructions, and your rationale is the importance of constructing in geometric figures. Another subject area may be biology. You could be studying the cells. And why is that important? Building blocks of humans. Unit rationale. When you write the unit rationale, you are describing the reason the unit affects students. Specifically, you should be able to state how the unit affects your students, their future, and their individual needs. Answer the questions such as, how does this unit contribute to knowing and engaging in societal issues? Why is this unit being taught? How does this unit integrate within the discipline? How does this unit meet student needs? How and why this unit fits into the scope and sequence of the course. For content standards, go to the state standards, select a sum. You do not need to select a lot, but enough to cover the material that you're covering in your unit. Goals are broad, generalized statements about what is to be learned. Think of them as a target to be reached or hit. Goals compared to objectives tend not to be measurable. You will notice none of the examples have conditions or degrees like a learning objective, a simple statement of what they will know or what they'll do by the end of the unit. An essential question is one that can be answered over time and may change. They may be in U.S. history in the 8th grade and U.S. history in the 11th grade, and their answers may change. So it has no right or wrong answer. It's to provoke and sustain student inquiry. It addresses the concepts and the philosophies of the field, raises important questions. It continues to evolve over the course of the discipline, and it also stimulates thinking of big ideas in prior lessons. To map the critical content, you're talking about scope and sequence. How does this unit fit into the bigger scope of the entire course? What comes before it? What comes after it? What makes it important? So you're actually documenting where it fits in the sequence of your course. You're going to be writing 3 lessons. You can either write a summary here and attach the 3 lessons, or you can copy and paste the 3 lessons in here. There's some things to be very careful of. You want to make sure that you address the student needs for each of your 3 students. Tell me what you're going to modify, accommodate. How are you going to focus on your EL student, your SPED student, or your third student? How are you going to address their specific needs? When analyzing for learning difficulties, you want to make sure you review your 3 lessons and determine what would be the needs of each of your 3 students. Specifically, what are you going to do for these students? You want to know what will enhance and engage their learning. What background knowledge will they need? Also, is there any particular concept that will be more difficult than others? Be sure to analyze and discuss how you're going to be able to meet the students' needs. Once you analyze difficulties in learning, in this section, reach enhancement decisions. What are you going to do to address their needs? How will you address when information is not there? Address their lack of background or the areas where it's going to be difficult. How are you going to scaffold knowledge to be able to help those students? What are you going to do to accommodate? What are you going to do to modify? Define here your instructional strategies. Typically, this is what you're going to do, what you're going to do with your students, and what you're going to have your students do. Sometimes you've heard it, I do, we do, you do. So how are you going to communicate the information to your students? What kind of engaging activities are you going to have for them to be able to learn? As you write your unit plan and your 3 lessons, continually add to your resources and materials and technology you'll need. It is not a one-time completed document. It's something that you continually want to add to it to make sure you're including everything you will need to effectively teach your lesson. This next section is most likely the most important for what we are doing. This class is about assessment, and this is where you're going to be talking about your assessments. First, your goals. Refer back to the goals you wrote for the unit. How are you going to figure out whether you have reached your goals? Well, we do that by your performance criteria. Describe the assessment in detail with what the student will be doing to evaluate whether they've accomplished the learning goal and the learning objective. And then tell me which assessments are going to be the measure of how you're going to determine their performance. For example, tell me if you're going to have a diagnostic. Is it a quick write? Is it going to be a bell ringer? And then tell me if you're having a formative assessment. Are you going to be doing a think, pair, share? What are you specifically going to be doing? And also, is it going to be informal or formal? Tell me if your goal will be determined through a summative assessment. This next section is specifically for secondary teachers as compared to multiple subject. You need to use specific pedagogical methods that are based in literature. In this final section, you're going to be writing a reflection. What things went well? What things didn't go well? What would you do differently? And please refer to each of your 3 students. Did you meet their needs? Were they able to learn well? What did you do well? What would you want to do differently? So reflection is not just a summary, but it is what will you do differently next time? What do you think happened? I hope you do well in your lesson plannings and your unit plan and creating your assessments.